Having been through epidemics like SARS and MERS, at first I thought, this too will pass quickly. At the time I had no idea that the situation would last this long. The demand for air travel is pretty much dead and hasn't picked up again as the virus began spreading.
The aviation industry has been one of the hardest hit by COVID-19. With travel restrictions now in place around the world, airlines have been unable to operate overseas routes, significantly more profitable than domestic alternatives. As a result, airlines have been forced to either cut down routes or stop operations entirely. EasterJet shut down operations of domestic and overseas routes starting in March. No flights means no money and no work, so airline employees were put on unpaid leave.
Korean pilots are unemployed and are doing part-time jobs as day labor. They mostly work on construction sites or delivering parcels. I also saw someone working in a refrigeration warehouse. My wife had a part-time job, but as the coronavirus started spreading again, she lost that too.
But even unpaid leave was a stretch for some airlines, resorting to large-scale layoffs instead. After bigger budget carrier Jeju Air decided not to acquire EasterJet earlier this year, 605 of the remaining 1,300 employees were laid off. Chang, a 31-year-old co-pilot, was one of them.
I majored in aviation. I basically spent my 20s in university. But at times like this, the entire aviation industries are struggling, so there are no opportunities. All I've learned in my life is to be a pilot. It's a very specialized job. No matter how hard I try to look into different career paths, there just seems to be no other option. It's hard for us to give up our career after spending so much money learning to become a pilot.
Budget carriers are particularly vulnerable to the falling industry. All 9 low-cost carriers in Korea recorded a loss in the first half of this year. Despite the lack of travelers, full-service carriers have seen their earnings improve slightly thanks to cargo transportation, turning a profit despite the difficult conditions. Opinions on whether travel demand will ever fully recover remain divided. Some experts think that everything will go back to normal once a COVID-19 vaccine is developed. But others believe flying will become an expensive transportation means. Since seats have been rearranged to ensure social distancing, the price of tickets could increase, especially on long-distance routes. The future of the aviation industry still remains unclear. As the coronavirus pandemic continues, the challenge for airlines now is staying in business until the new normal arrives.